The critics have arrived. So I have an audience today. I'm here on the St. Lawrence River. And it was a weird gray day with like clouds in front of clouds. And so I was driving around. I couldn't really find anything that was inspiring me until finally I just was like, just stop, paint something. Every place is an opportunity to learn something, even if it's not particularly gripping. So I just finally stopped here at this beautiful location, and it was these clouds that I think drew my attention. So first I just want to put down the main masses where this giant cloud shape is gonna be very dramatic. There's sort of like a weird backlight too behind the cloud. I'm sure this has a scientific name. And then I thought this composition did not work. The clouds had moved, they were moving to the right. And actually, the way I had set up the land down at the bottom left, I think it would look better if I moved everything over to have more of like a diagonal contrast. So I scraped it, number one scraping. And I just blocked in the clouds again. And then I went back in and tried to cover them up. It's difficult. So I wiped it out as well as scraping because it was just, I didn't scrape enough. There's too much wet paint on there. Trying to put more wet paint on there was just very frustrating. And so sometimes it's easier if you just scrape it, then wipe it, and then you can have a clean slate. Okay, trying to get a little more detail in these clouds now. And still they keep moving. And so I'm just making it up a little bit as I go. I'm also doing a lot of blending on the canvas, which I don't always do. But see, I'm putting a dark on a light, which is not the easiest with oil painting. Oops, there's too red there. So quickly cover that over, but there's a very warm glow coming from behind the clouds behind. I think maybe the sun is shining more in them. That's the nice thing with oil paint. You can just scrape something off. You can just paint over it. It's not like watercolor where you lay it down and that's it. So now I've added a lot of white to this green so that I can give the impression of distance, the atmospheric perspective. I tend to paint things a little darker maybe than they are, and I think water mixable oil, it also dries a little darker, which I know really annoys some people. So here I'm really trying to push that value, make it lighter. And then it gets gradually darker as it comes into the foreground, and that will create the effect of atmospheric perspective. Woo! And then I just went right into the water and the reflections. I guess I didn't film that part. I also often find that I will think I have pressed record and then it turns out I have not, and then I put it down and I will record like my chin for 5 minutes. So that could have been what happened too. Okay, so here's the second scrape out. This composition was not working. I think initially when I had the clouds sort of more centered, it might have been okay with nothing on the right side, but now there was nothing blocking the eye from just running, following that landmass in the background and just running off the edge. So I decided to move this closest shore, move it over into the composition. So again, scraping and then wiping, especially since I was adding a dark, wiping was essential. Ew, and something about the paint this day, I don't know if it was the humidity. There's just something weird about the consistency. It was a struggle. This painting was a struggle. Sometimes it's like that. So then I think I was a little too light. I overcompensated a little too much. So I'm going back, I'm trying to add some of these lighter green highlights to the distant trees. Adding the tree holes. Working in these reflections, vertical, horizontal strokes. Very lightly, I'm not pressing hard at all. And I want to get this distant shore in, but I also don't want to cover up that burnt sienna completely, because having that behind a green, since they're contrasting colors, it really sort of makes them vibrate. This is a little more typical working dark to light, easier to apply the paint this way. But I think it requires more faith in the process because you can't always see the immediate effect. You have to build up to it, and that sometimes requires patience. Okay, now sharpening the edges will really draw the eye there. Adding some darks. Ew, thick paint. I'm not usually a fan of thick paint. It was just something about the way, I don't know, again, just the paint, the consistency that day, I just had to really apply it heavily. It could have been the humidity. It was pretty humid. It was also old paint. I hadn't just squeezed it out, which is not necessarily a good habit. I also did not clean my palette. Also probably added to my troubles. Nature break. Okay, now that these clouds have sort of set a little bit, sunken in a little bit, then I can go back and start adding, like softening, adding little details, finessing them a bit. Really, I'm using a bristle brush, but really very little pressure. Trying to imagine my strokes being the cloud. Okay, and again, this is the third time. I think the shore should be lower in the composition. So again, I just scraped it out. This time, I didn't have to wipe it as well. I just really globbed on that thick paint. And then just softening the edges there of the clouds and the new paint that I just added. And then also these weird edges, these glowing edges to the big cloud. It was really neat seeing that day. Details. This is a liner brush. I really like this brush. I do not take care of it though. As you can see, it's bent, and that is because I just like plop it in a jar of water, which is not good. I'm hard on my brushes, but they're very gracious. Final details. And then I realized that I forgot to, when I lowered that tree line, I forgot to also push it up from the bottom. So I'm going back and doing that. Well, when in doubt, use nature's brush. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.